welcome everybody. Welcome everybody here in Dubai, in the audience. Welcome on the live stream, and welcome to our panelists. I would like to hand it over to our panelists, Dr. Xiaoxi Wei, Professor Paolo Dario, and Dr. Maria Gomez to introduce themselves before we begin.
Thank you so much, Marco. Yeah, I'm Xiaoxi Wei. I'm a co-founder, CEO of a biotech company called X-Therma. So it's a San Francisco headquartered, but we have a global subsidiary in Europe. So what we do is we have a breakthrough technology platform. Now we can make a human organ last for days instead of currently hours. So potentially make organs on demand. Also apply to other regenerative medicines. Very nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Paolo?
Good afternoon. My name is Paolo Dario. I'm an emeritus professor of medical robotics at the Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna in Pisa, Italy, and I'm chief scientist at the Dubai Future Lab here in Dubai. My interest is biorobotics and bionics, so this is my field.
Thank you, Maria.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Maria Gomez. I'm a medical doctor by background. And I just want to say that I'm a believer. And I'm a believer about second chance in the life. And I am a believer about the impossible can become possible. I'm coming from Hayat. Hayat is the UAE Organ Donation and Transplant Program. I'm the director of the National Center for Organ Donation and Transplant at the Ministry of Health and Prevention.
Thank you so much. So with this amazing panel, we are going to have a discussion about bionics, frontier. Before we start, I just want you to imagine what would it feel like if you could have nanorobots that could go into your body and heal it from itself? Or you would have smart organs that you can track on your devices? So these lines are really disappearing today. And to really feel the future, we have created a little time travel for you. So 30 seconds, we have a short video, and we will dive into the future and see how it feels. Please go ahead. Do we have the voice? Okay, so welcome to the Bionics Frontier, when technology meets biology. We want to stay in this short vision. It was a really mini glimpse for you, but just to stay there for a little bit, and I want to ask the panelists to share with me, what is it that inspired when we were discussing about the topic to create this video? What are those inspirations for you, Maria, for example?
Yeah, thank you for that. So imagine a future where if you need an organ, or any of your organ or your body parts fail, you just, with one click, will order your own organ. This is about the video. Why not to think, and I just will use one brand, but it can be any brand, the Amazon of organs. And any one of us, we will collect our cells. We know that we can do that. We are doing that right now. When the kids born, they can collect the cells. But then we will have a lab in Dubai where we will grow the organs. And then when we are in Shanghai or in San Francisco, we will click and request the kidney that we need to be replaced. Many things has to happen for that to become a reality.
Definitely. So see, you are already working on cryoprotection and changing the future. We'll get back to that, but just based on that video that we created together, what are your impressions? What did you want to convey?
Absolutely. I would like to second Maria. This is the exciting field. Actually, we bring the future to today, the surreal to reality. So we see in the future exactly no organ gonna go on the waste bin. Currently, 80% of organs are not being transplanted, but we see organs on demand will be a near future reality, and so we will see biological time is also no longer given because now we have an on-demand organ that can save lives. We have stem cell treatment, so we can rejuvenate to repair our body from aging. So we can live a very long and healthy lifespan. So we have all the curable solutions available for us immediately when we need it, as we need it, wherever we need it.
This is really, really inspirational. Paolo, you've been working over 40 years in this field of bionics, and today, as we are talking about it, it no longer is just the robotic arms, as we saw at the really last seconds. There will be much more augmentation and substitution of the body. Could you take us through what does bionics mean today? And we have a slide to share a little bit of the visuals of what should we imagine as bionics when we go into this discussion further.
Yeah, well, I hope the slide comes, but in any case, yeah, you can see what bionics means now and what could mean in the future. First is substitution, okay? So organs or limbs that do not work properly and that we can substitute. Or regeneration. That is building, as was said by my colleagues, different ways to essentially create or rejuvenate body parts. Bionics is the science and technology of doing this. It's also about taking inspiration from nature to design artificial machines, you see there. So it's an entirely new word, bioinspiration and bioapplication of technology. And there are three kinds of approaches that could be followed. One is mechatronic organs, like the early artificial hearts or artificial limbs. And the second is about hybrid tissues, hybrid solutions, and then robotics, if you mean. This is really the new frontier, even being able to build artificial beings.
This is really impressive. So I want to feel the audience a little bit. Hearing now about what we're talking about, the future of bionics, do you see, let's see a raise of hands, how many of you are excited about this future? Those who are a little bit, oh, we might be done for today. We have already convinced everybody. But let's continue. So we are going to get everybody else convinced about the positive future that's coming. So what I would like to do is to really understand also what are the innovations that are driving us towards this positive future. And Maria, you have most recently made a breakthrough here in Emirates, really bringing transplantations from zero to a success. Could you share with us?
Yeah.
And
So I think we have a few slides. So what is happening in UAE? What is happening in Dubai? So when I mentioned in my introduction about impossible can become possible, Hayat, an organ donation and transplant in UAE, is the perfect demonstration that we humans, we can achieve whatever we want if we collaborate. So this is the map, the color map about organ donation around the world. What you see here is dark blue are the countries with highest donation activity, and light blue, of course, countries that they are still need more development. So all of us, we know that there are not enough organs yet. There is not enough organs to cover the demand. What happened in UAE currently? So 6 years back, there were no organ donation, disease organ donation and transplant at all in UAE. There were not. Now, UAE, and if we can pass the next slide, UAE is first in the region, in GCC, in organ donation and transplant. So we move from 0 donors to 11.6, which is the rate that we manage globally, 11.6 donors per million of population. And as you can see here, we are above of the region. Why is this important to shape the future? Because again, this is the clear demonstration of collaboration, trying to break the barriers, no boundaries, in order to develop the collaboration between different countries, and then to be able to increase the possibility of organs available for transplantation. Non-organs, no transplant. Thanks to this activity in UAE, now we are also giving second opportunities to many people who are waiting for an organ transplant. All type of transplant are happening in UAE, and we have our regulatory framework, we have our, of course, policies and procedures aligned according to international best practice.
So what were the key success factors? Like, how did you make that change happen? Because it is a massive change.
One of them is, and sorry to be repetitive, collaboration. Not only among the different stakeholders here, the mindset about a vision, all together to know where we want to go, and collaboration internally in UAE, but also outside of UAE. So right now we are exchanging organs with Kuwait, with Saudi. We are establishing also collaboration with Bahrain, with Qatar, with Oman. We exchange organs with Pakistan. So we help and send kidneys and liver with Pakistan. But of course, still there are some challenges that we have for this to grow this international collaboration, technical and technological challenge.
Thank you. I think that that's a great segue to really hearing where the innovation is taking us. What are the challenges that we are seeing? Like you mentioned, time and not being able to deliver, like you mentioned to me in previous discussions, that there was a 5-year-old heart that you could not actually provide because the time didn't last. And we have every single hour somebody is dying due to the fact that they don't have access to an organ. So Xiaoxi, your innovation, you have taken the learnings from nature, brought that innovation and actually changed the race of time. So you have made life longer with your innovation. Could you share your story, how you got into that innovation, and what is possible today?
Thank you so much. Yeah, this has been very long personal inspiration. So unfortunately, my grandpa was a victim, did not get a liver for transplant. So I was a very young girl, I could not help see my grandpa pass, and I could not save him. My mom as a physician told me exactly what Maria shared. It's really about time. You can see actually this is a huge problem today. Even in US, we transplant the majority of the kidneys in the world, 27,000 per year. However, our official wait list is already close to 100,000. But if you look at this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are more than 500,000 US citizens out of 300 million people are visiting dialysis centers 3 times a week. Every single one of them, if we receive the kidney for transplant, their life will be day and night difference. However, the sad thing is the current technology is really limiting us. How we do transplant, since the transplant being improved, we'll be using sugar salt solution and bag in the triple plastic bag, put on the igloo coolers, ship on the white ice. And this temperature is 4 degrees C, just like your refrigerator at home, that can only make the organ last for a few hours. Because of such, the organs currently have a huge waste list. If you think I want to donate my organs and sign for my driver's license, I want to donate my life gift to others when I expired. However, there's an 80% chance my organs not able to help another life because current technology only limited us for 250 nautical miles travel. That does not even get us from Miami to Tampa, like in US. So the key here is how can we extend the organ's life? We innovated here by really trying to look into the nature. You see, nature have 4 billion years of evolution. As a chemist, we feel very humble. We need to learn from the massive mind. So there are insects and fish. They came up with the molecular precise antifreeze proteins, help them to defeat winter damage. Then my question is, what if we can just safely freeze the organs without a freezer burn? then hey, then we can solve these issues immediately. We can open up all the time and the distance boundaries, and then we can potentially make an organ share globally, like Maria is trying to reach with her program. So our innovation really focused on taking inspiration from those nature's masterpiece antifreeze protein and using a new type of chemistry. As I came from a Lawrence Berkeley National Lab with 17 Nobel laureates in the Berkeley Hill, and we'll be able to learn from nature, use a rational design library, and synthesize those molecules, use an AI-guided screening process and a drug discovery method, in vitro, ex vivo, in vivo transplant to confirm. Indeed, we found that this molecule, not only we can exceed the nature antifreeze protein's performance, but also we can immediately scale for human applications. So with the results of such, I'm very glad to carry on 10 years dream. We now demonstrated with FDA breakthrough device designation, the first time we can turn the kidney down to -5C, completely no ice, and we can transport with our smart transporter called Time Seal. A combination of both, we can remove time off the equation. Now kidney can last for potentially 120 hours. That is 5 days, 5 times longer than the current limitations. Yeah. And we just recently demonstrated world first transatlantic kidney journeys, actually involved with 100+ personnel, so from Johns Hopkins transplant centers to medical school of Innsbruck from Europe, and we demonstrated 4,500 miles. The pig organ, pig kidney, can use our system, transport from the Baltimore all the way to Frankfurt and then to Innsbruck, and showcase the kidney indeed is a perfect transplantable condition. With such, we not only done it once, actually today we completed 12 times.
Yeah. It's really impressive, and I think it changes the race of the time. And coming from Finland, I wish I would have had one of those anti-freeze proteins, but I didn't. But what I would like to do is to understand a little bit further of where do you see the potential of that innovation? So you said that it is now in organs, but just to, before we go back to robotics and bionics, just to exploring the possibilities.
Yeah, so this is a super exciting panels. Like we'll share these visions. Like Dr. Paolo also said, like the future of bionics. You can think about the future of human medicine. Actually, we firmly believe it's regenerative medicine. That means it's living cells constructed. The living cells very different, different from our chemical pills. We cannot just put them on the off the shelf and expect that they can last for 6 years. Here, if we don't take care of the preservation, and they will expire within few minutes or hours. So with our technology, we see this as a platform just the beginning. So we can take care of all the amazing medicines. So we can build CAR T-cell therapies to cure cancer. We can have a tissue engineering product like to rejuvenate, to regenerate our body parts, and also all those amazing organs from all the current 8 solid organs: lung, liver, kidney, heart, and pancreas, and the 2 some organs we currently hardly use for transplant, like a uterus, a penis, and all these potential human parts. So in the future, and this technology applied here, like we can save lives by providing off-the-shelf, very well accessible medicines to personalize the medicine for your need. And beyond that, we can also apply this technology to food industry, chip coolings, and anywhere like you see ice creates the problem, this new type of chemistry has application.
Yeah, we were just discussing how to actually get some chocolate to survive the way to the hotel. So, but there's an impressive variety that is actually changing our future. But Paolo, from your perspective, when we're talking about robotics innovation, Xiaoxi, you mentioned AI. you have been doing this research for over 40 years. Could you tell your story, how you got into it, and what are you excited about today?
Yeah, actually, when AI was not available, I started because I'm a strongly advocate of physical AI. That means real stuff. And artificial organs are made of materials that can be artificial or can be biological. Actually, the idea of, I started working on artificial heart at a time when transplant was even not available. And then we stopped because of an issue that people underestimate, that is energy. There are no sufficiently, I would say, powerful energy source that you can implant in the body. And so transplant came as a solution. But, I also worked a lot on artificial hands. And I learned, for example, it's a very interesting case. 20 years ago, a surgeon in France decided to transplant a hand from a dead person into an amputee. Well, after 6 months or so, the amputee wanted the hand to be cut. And he decided to substitute the transplanted hand with an artificial hand. So just to say that there are many, many issues to consider that come together with the technology. So what is the technology? What is coming? Well, AI is one of the technology, of course, but material science has made incredible progresses. So we are able now to develop mechatronics substitute. So very, very high performance artificial hands connected to the nervous system through implantable interface. Because there is no use in having a hand without sensory capabilities. And we were able, after many, many years of research, in developing implantable interfaces. And this is a frontier, it's about the neural interface, communicating the eye to the external components. And this is a question I'd like to address again, the issue of consciousness, so we are able now, by means of the robotics technologies you can see around, to develop extraordinary performance artificial limbs, hands, and above all legs, because hands are fascinating, but fortunately it's just a small fraction of people who require hand transplant. While due to neural disease, circulatory disease, aging, amputation of legs is very important, and it happens sometimes with people, old people, so creating a lot of problems. So, and this is one part of the story. Second part is about, say, regenerating organs. So, and there are now technologies that allow to regenerate tissues and to create analogs of the lost organs. And then xenotransplants, by the way, here there is interesting information. And for example, so organs taken by pigs, what they are called humanized pigs. And this is a question. Would you like to have an implanted piece of a pig in your body? And I think Maria has an answer.
Yes, go ahead, Maria.
I think it's very impressive what we are hearing here, because no doubt that these are huge development and technologies that we have now available. Of course, they have to grow and develop more, but something that we have to consider is, do we have the framework that we need to develop and implement all of this technology? And then is when Dubai and UAE again comes to play. And I will tell you why. Because we need that our governments, they have a clear mindset where they want to go with the innovation and with the technology. We need regulatory frameworks that facilitate and support, and this is what happened with Hayat. This is where we come back to National Program in Organ Donation and Transplants. In 7 years, there were a regulatory framework that enabled all the different stakeholders, the doctors, the nurses, but the society also, to work towards organ donation. And this is that we need to do in order to enable all of this technology to implement. Regarding xenotransplant, there is a new from today. You will be one of the few to know about that. The law in UAE now, the law regarding organ donation and transplant, allow us to do xenotransplant in United Arab Emirates. Now it's a reality. We can do it. It's new. Was released today. So we were able to implement xenotransplant technology also here. And it happened, you know, we are only 6 years in this matter. This is organ donation and transplant. Thanks to governance, regulatory framework, of course, a network of people, doctors, nurses, and society, collaboration, international collaboration. What Xiaoxi explained, we need to create a world free of boundaries, free of barriers, you know, that we can exchange all of this technology, knowledge, and organs.
Yeah, I love the announcement that we have this groundbreaking news today. It's really interesting when we hear about xenotransplantation, we hear about the different possibilities, that how can we augment the human body? The question that might be a little bit uncomfortable in the room could be, what does it really mean? Do I want to have that? And then there are the biohackers who are like, oh my God, now everything is possible. Can I have a third arm? So if you can have a substitution of a blind eye to an eye that sees, why would you want only just to see in the light? Would you like dark vision? Well, where is the boundary? Where is the border? Paolo, you've been thinking about this, you've been evolving this scene.
Well, actually, I can tell you a real story. 20 years ago, 22 or so, I was coordinating a European project on, it was called Cyber Hand. Because we're talking about cyborgs, by the way, a person with a glass.
We are cyborgs.
But if you will,
Cyborgs.
yeah, of course, a person with an artificial hand is a cyborg. I mean, is a creature that is partly natural and partly artificial. And we can speculate a lot about that. So after the beginning of the project, the ethical committee of the European Union in Brussels called me as a coordinator of the proposal and told me, well, you really think about the ethical implication of your work. And I can assure that at that time, 22, 23 years ago, almost nobody thought really about that. So for example, the issue of connecting the hand to the brain was made. It's a, yeah, are you sure that you are not opening to hackers? Again, we're talking about 20, almost 5 years ago. It's a reality that now is commonly understood. But just to say that there are so many new things. You know? For example, and maybe we can open a discussion, what we call for the future, because, you know, we want to predict the future. By definition, the future cannot be predicted, or you can predict the easy part, what is called the incremental innovation. But what is disruptive innovation is very difficult to predict, but it's very important. So for example, robot companions that you could ingest, fully feasible. You can think now, or in the very near future, of swallowing micro-robots that can either move like capsule or stay there to monitor your functions. This is, of course, on the good side.
And to repair. They will be able to repair.
Exactly.
You know, they will know if something is affected, and
like
they will repair immediately.
Microsurgeons,
Yeah.
teleoperated or even not. So just to mention this, you know, of course, there are so many implications on this, but like artificial organs, as I said, limbs, or wearable technology. And then, of course, also external companions. Okay, so we are, and this is bionics. This is the frontier of bionics, something that is predictable because it's going to come, and We want to understand and possibly control, at least in part, what we are going to do.
I think that the control piece, I just want to touch base on that one. We had a discussion, and when you're talking about robotics and how it's monitored, let's say, you talked about air traffic control. Similar to that, how can you actually then make sure that the robotics and humans are living together? But as we are imagining the future and we're talking about all these opportunities, these technologies and these opportunities, are they there only for the few, or how do we make sure that there is equitable access to everybody? Could I just have a point of view from all of you on that point?
Yeah, and thank you for that, because that allows me to explain again what is happening in UAE.
Yes.
I think the main purpose to be here is to demonstrate or to share with all of you what is possible again. So in UAE, our law regarding access, universal access to organ transplantation. So right now, the program has been benefit 56 different nationalities. Benefit or contributed to the entire program, donation and transplantation. And our law, again, UAE law, the Federal Decree 25 of 2023, established two things. The first thing is organ donation is a right in UAE, is a right for anyone to decide what they want to do for regarding organ donation. And the second thing is universal access. So our law in UAE established universal access to organ transplant, organ and tissue transplant, regardless nationality, gender, socioeconomical status, or religious belief. So all of this innovation, in order to benefit the society, no doubt that has to have a very solid basis of regulation, governance, and ethics,
Yes.
as we were mentioned before.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Xiaoxi,
I really see like organ transplants, like regenerative medicine, it's one of the few fields that actually can align two different political opinions together. In US, that's one of the few things being shared across the board for Republicans and Democrats. And the first to be supported by Trump administration, and then followed by Biden, and now Trump again. And the US having full power wanted to increasing the kidney donation for transplant by 60% by 2026. We know we're only 1 month away. So here, the main challenge, again, as I mentioned, is time and distance. We see we got the technology, we cracked the code. Now we can see organs no longer just a regional resource, but it can be shared globally. And with all the advanced policymakers from Maria's group and Paolo's group, we can see in the future of the world, we will see a lot of traffics. We will have organs sitting in the middle seat for the airplanes, going to different sides of the world to save their individuals. So that's what we can call it a global sharing, and then we will have a much more equities and access to the patient who need it, instead of just very restricted to the high economic growth area. So we believe the organ is everybody's need and shall be available for everyone. That's why we see for this new transformation of organ transplants, we see this big playbooks for global collaborations here. And all the policymakers should start to remove the boundaries, as Maria mentioned, and we should all collaborate together and to share the resource. We see in US, US, if you think about it, you have a pair of a cornea, a pair of a kidney as a donor. Cornea, currently US has 0 wait list. And actually, in fact, we support 20% of the global need. But for the kidney, it's a completely different story. If I need a kidney transplant today, I will be very lucky if I get it down the road for 5 to 7 years. So why is the difference? Exactly. Cornea can last for 7 days, preserve well, but kidney less than 1 day. So if we can create 5 days for kidneys and 2 days for heart and livers, then we have enough organs. With all the bionic organs, those 3D printed organs, xeno organs, we can make organs from scarcity to abundance. I think once that day comes, and then we can really solve the equity and access issues.
Great. And Paolo, from your perspective, when we're talking about robotics and the technologies that are there, how do you see the access point?
Well, so far we heard a lot about making organs available, from scarcity to abundance, and laws and connections. Actually, we as engineers are developing the future in technology. And so the next phase is not only substitute organs or functions, but to augment. Maybe we are able already, we will be able soon, to generate organs that perform better and more than the natural ones. Now consider the case of Oscar Pistorius. Some of you may remember the runner who was a double amputee, and they ran with special feet, bionic feet. In fact, it was called the Blade Runner, actually. And actually, there was a lot of debate. Now he's in jail for other circumstances, as you may know. He killed his wife or something. But anyhow, this is, of course, a different story. But actually, he was a fantastic athlete. And he demonstrated that running with prosthesis could be even more performant than running with normal feet. Now the issue is more general. You could have super hands, super hearing aids, super eyes, and more, let's say. So this is really the next challenge, and this will come. This will be developed by robotics technologies. We could, in fact, have super humanoid robots soon. You heard about that. It's not science fiction, it's reality. And so how to manage this? Who will not only use, but who will be allowed to use these things? And since I would never like to find ourselves in the same situation we found with ChatGPT, was a disruptive innovation. Well, actually, it could be predicted, but eventually it was a disruptive innovation. And all governments and people said, how can we manage? But in a way, it was too late to regulate the technology. I think we should consider how to address what is happening by trying to regulate in various ways. First of all, in my opinion, by educating researchers. And second, of course, educating citizens and policy makers. In any case, to predict what is coming.
Great. So that's what we are here for. We are doing the kind of education conversation, starting the discussion, and we're talking about longevity, how can we prolong life, but the session is coming to an end. This I cannot prolong, but we will have opening to hear questions, which I see are already many. So let's start with the questions. Do we have a mic available? Okay, great. Really seems like technology is not going to be the issue here. It's more about us humans. How do we prepare, and how fast and how far do we want to go? So here. Feel free to state your name and who you want to ask.
Well, first of all, excellent session. I think this is fantastic. And with some friends as well. But my question is to Paolo. I am an engineer, Jose Cordero. I'm founding faculty of Singularity University, where we talk about these issues. I didn't know about the cyber hand, but I know another Italian doctor, Sergio Canavero. He's talking about body transplants.
Right.
And actually, I think this is a fantastic possibility. But when people talk about the ethical issues, it's because you don't need a body. If you need a body, you want that body. So how do you consider these ethical issues from the point of view of the people who need the bodies or the organs or to go to Mars. We don't need these biological bodies to go to Mars. They are really shitty bodies to go to Mars.
Actually, yeah, I agree, but actually, the way I foresee the coming world, but again, please take me in the right sense. I'm not necessarily willing to do all these things, okay? But they will happen. So the world is going to be populated by real humans, as I suppose we are, maybe replicants, as in the movie Blade Runner. Do you remember a world made of creatures who were not humans, and the hunt and the challenge to understand who was a human, who was not? Cyborgs, avatars, humanoids, and more. If you have been, conclude because to the expo into Hiroshi Shiburo's pavilion, he was here by the way. It is a fantastic pavilion in which essentially he imagines transferring memory from a human person dying, essentially, into a, well, you can say a chip or even an android eventually, another creature, so memory and so on. I had a discussion yesterday with my good friend Giulio Tononi, who is a neuroscientist, about that. He was here at the panel. And the issue is, yes, you can do that, but then the brain that you transfer will not be able to say I. And this is the big question. So from outside, we would say, yes, he is that person, without a body maybe, with a pure brain, but inside, he would not say I. And let's open a discussion on that.
And that's a total change into the consciousness. There are a lot of questions, so let's maybe we had here, and then moving that line towards the right. And also, just to let you know, we will be here after the session if we are running out of time. But please, go ahead.
So, such a fabulous session, and each of you mentioned the need for boundary conditions, but not what your recommendations would be. So I wonder if it's possible to just hear across the panel, if you were responsible for the Global Foundation setting those guidelines, what would be the 2 top ones you think we need to adopt?
Well, maybe if we can replicate what already UAE is demonstrating that is possible. No, I do believe that things happen because of people. At the end of the day, it's a group of people sitting together, agreeing with the same mindset and agreeing that we want to collaborate. What we need to do first, I have to mention again, a regulatory framework. So what we have with Kuwait, what we have with Saudi, is a clear, let's say, agreements, collaboration agreements based on our laws. Actually, our law in UAE mandate that we have to collaborate in organ donation and transplant. So is our leaders, they have the clear vision for this to happen, then we need that it will be de-escalated to the regulatory part with the policymakers. Then, of course, we need to work about logistics, data sharing, because if we want to avoid or we want to reduce the frontiers and the barriers, we have to exchange data first to be able that and this is what we do. Actually, when we have a donor in Kuwait, an organ, a liver in Kuwait, they share with us the information of that organ, and we ensure that there is a recipient compatible here in UAE. So the same when we send things, we will send organs to San Francisco, or we will share organs with Shanghai. So we need data. And a platform, electronic platform, logistics. We need to take care about the logistics to ensure, and of course we need the people, which is this healthcare professional and the society that they also buying all the idea of one world for science and technology.
Paolo, do you want to have respond as well? What, in your view, would be needed?
In my view, I would go more into personal issues. You know, I'm a professor, and I believe a lot in educating our researchers, on what would be the consequences of their research, really making our community of researchers much more responsible. Because, having external regulations is important, but first and most, in my opinion, it is necessary to educate in a very interdisciplinary way. Because what has been missed, in my opinion, is a broad idea. I'm Italian, I come from Tuscany, I'm a Renaissance person, even if, of course, I'm an engineer doing very, very concrete things. So the attention to human factors, to social issues, together with science and technology are very crucial to address anything. Because sometimes regulating is too late. So I'm a strong believer in the role of education in frontier research like this one, where we are addressing problems that are unknown. We don't know well the consequences of all of our actions. The only solution is to have highly educated, aware people who could, researchers, could have a broad, holistic vision to what they are doing.
Thank you, Xiaoxi.
I just want to say, we brought a frontier technology disruptive to the organ transplant world. Now, we have no time, now we have abundant time. So we created to this new world. Now we should think about to open up the borders, open up all the limitations. The organs are not just regional sharing, a gift, but a globally sharing. So that requests all the policymakers break down the barriers, start collaborating with each other. Just say, I mentioned Trump, Biden, for this one thing, they share vision together. Also, we heard from Xi Jinping and Putin and Kim Jong-un also talk about advancing organ transplant. We see probably if all those big leaders come together to think about how we can share this a gifted resource together, and then instead of fighting on their political viewpoint, maybe we can build such an impressive new world, so no one will die on the wait list, and we can save lives.
Great, thank you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Congratulations for the speakers. I appreciate a lot the words. But I'd like the question to Dr. Paolo. And you said about the regeneration of organs and the substitution of organs, no? And between these two points, do you think it's possible to create or use a device when they have part of bionic and a part of living cells, for example, the kidney? I use this example because, no? But do you think this is a good strategy to decrease the time of the patients in waiting list, for example, when you talk about the kidney transplantation? Because the time is totally different of the patient at the waiting list, and for me that work with organ donation teams, for example, no? How do you use your opinion?
Well, the answer to your first question, let's say, is very simple.
And due to the time, we need to keep it short due to the time, but and we can continue the discussion. But please go ahead.
Yes. So essentially, hybrid organs can be developed, with a scaffold and living cells. But I would like to make another point related to that, to time. For example, in Japan, Maria comes from Spain. I come from Italy originally, and Spain and Italy are the countries in the world where donations are higher.
Spain higher than Italy.
Spain higher than Italy.
Competition.
Little bit. But in Japan, there were virtually no donations. Okay? So what our Japanese colleagues did, and I was also working with them, is to develop support organs, okay? Like, for example, external ventricles and heart. So just for a while, nobody knew what would have happened after, because there were no organs, actually. And this device could not be implanted. The discovery they made was that by keeping the heart relieving and at rest, in fact, help the heart to regenerate function. So, just to say that there are very, very different lines for research, sometimes leading to unexpected and useful results.
Great. This has been an amazing panel. You've been an amazing audience. Before we go, I would like to use the last minute to watch the video, go back to the future, watch the video again, because the way that we create the future is by feeling it. And after this, let's say 30, 40 minutes, I just want you to take in and see, do you feel different about the future now that we watched that short clip again? Does it shift something in you? Are you excited? Where does it take you? So, but first I would like to thank the panelists. I would like to thank the Dubai Future Foundation and Dubai Future Forum for this opportunity, and for you, audience, for your interest and your questions.